presume in our head that this is there as a single item, but it's
Control
not.
click it.
It's, all we did was filled grid space that was pre-existing there with material, which is its data type. And we can also then start manipulating the corners, which are actually the points of the connecting of that grid. And those are the voxels. The voxels are actually the corners. So when we look at this shape, there's actually 8 voxels there. And then what connect the corners, the lines, are vectors. So when you hear roaming vector, all that means is that line has roamed over to a neighboring voxel. So in essence, when we're saying that, it's jumped past this voxel, which is the corner location, and went out to the next voxel, that corner location. And then each side is called a pane. So that's just some terminology that I want to pass along. Throughout the course, it'll probably make more sense. At the end of the course, as we go through the course, I'll repeat this many times just to try to get to sink in, because you got to get away from thinking this is a free-floating shape, because it's not. It's connected to a grid here. It's all a part of a grid. All we do is move around those positions in the grid. I'm not sure if you guys remember playing with strings as a kid between your fingers and you make different shapes. That's kind of how the world works. And as you change something in that structure of strings, it's going to change the stuff beside it. And that's exactly how voxels work. Because they share the same shape beside it, shares that same voxel, which is the corner. Okay, so when you start, you're going to want to start building a board, and that's what this course is about. And the first thing we're going to do is, with this shape, what can we do with it? Well, the thing we can do with it is start smoothing it down. And just off the rough smoothing, we won't go into the fine, because if we go into fine, then we're going to go into what I consider the additional positions. So those there will be your homework. If you want to take this lesson, you can also use your fine smoothing to go get all the rest of the positions. But we're just going to use our rough. And if we smooth it once, we get the next position down.
I have a question.
So, yes.
With the new tools, how do you smooth it fine? Is it still control?
If
F.
It's F now. Okay.
It's F now is for any of the special D features to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not a problem. So knowing this is going to be our first thing that we're going to want to do. So let's see how many times we can smooth this down that really matters. So this, we get a noticeable difference. We're going to smooth it down the second time. Yeah, that's a noticeable difference. So there's 2 good locations. And we're going to smooth it again. And there's a nice little tiny dot. That's again really nice, you know, and we can make a lot of things with that. But we want to make wire. Let's see if we could get one more. Yeah, that's pretty good. So that's pretty thin. I mean, to go any thinner than that, do we really need to? We can, but for your basic little tiny board, I think these 4 positions are well enough. And again, this is where your homework will rest. If you want to go and keep smoothing this down, then take it down to that level. But what we're going to do is just work on these first 4. So what we're going to do to set up for this board to be organized, so we're going to go back, bring out our add tool.
Amethyst Moon 99, thank you for the follow. Rock on. 6 more.
Space it off, add another one right beside it. We're going to do this for 4 spots. Again, even on the rough smoothing, you can keep going with this. I would put out about 15 if you wanted to, because now the smooth tool, they changed the last patch. It doesn't actually go to a point where I'll make the voxel disappear. So basically, it feels like it's endless, but you'll see there's a spot where I just will not smooth any more down. So it's up to you how far you want to go with this, but we're going to do these 4 positions. The first one we're going to leave normal as our guide, so that's the default, that's our center.
Mercury.
And then, so what we're going to do is smooth the one beside it just once. And then the one next to that, we're going to smooth it twice. And the one, again, beside that 3 times. And the one on the end 4 times. Okay, now you got your first little scale. So now we need somewhere to start putting this. We're going to make a little tiny board. And what I did is I selected from the default voxel out to the smallest one. Pulled the selection tool across that, and then I pulled it open by 3 voxels. And I'm just going to hold Control, shift that selection box behind it, and then just fill it. It's a quick way of doing it.
What?
Well, we're going to make a board. I'm just making a platform the same size as my boxes that I just made.
So we're gonna take the selection, select the voxels we just made, and then move it three wide.
Well, pull it open 3 wide and then pull it back. I'm just making a small board here, so it's just a backer
Pull it
board.
open 3 wide.
You guys can make any style
and
board. This
then
is the
you
one
hit
I'm just going to show
Control
off
and
how
move
to
this
make quick.
over, and then you fill it.
And then I just put 2 voxels on the back, pull my selection tool between them,
And then you
pull my
take
selection
this.
tool then by about 4, fill that.
Control X, then you can paste it.
And then do it a different color than your set, so I'm going to repaint this.
I'm a little off. It's a normal thing. Ah! Ah! I did it again. Jeez Louise. My computer is not being good. Man.
You know what you're going to do is just go and copy or cut your little scale and center it off onto your little board.
Z! Woot! Okay, and then I'm gonna take this here. Well, now I'm a little longer. Well, whatever. Okay.
Ah, my.
Bring it up. Bring it over with the control. And paint it. But we're gonna paint it something else. Like,
Okay, I'm completely.
paint it. Fill it.
Do you want your voxels touching your board?
No, you don't. You want to have them 1 voxel away from the back of your board and 1 voxel away from the bottom of your board.
Okay.
That's why what we're going to do is make the board basically in segments now. So we're just going to start creating it by making the piece that fits behind this part of the scale. And as we add scales, we're going to add pieces to this board. And eventually you're going to build out a board.
I'm doing this all wrong.
Don't worry, take your time. We're not in a race. We're here to all learn together. That's what this is all about. So, who's having a problem? If you can also tell me your character name, it makes it easier.
Okay, 1 section at a time.
And whatever feels comfortable for making the board, that's how you do it. So, the way I described there was how I usually tend to build.
See, I should
If
be
you have a better way
at
that suits you, go ahead and do it that way.
a couple less. Let me refresh.
Mara, these are your
We
boards.
are learning how to build boards, see?
Okay, yeah, I'm doing this wrong.
Brand new people building boards. Woot. We're doing boards. It's good stuff. I'm at 495. I need 5 more viewers. 5 more viewers. 5 more followers. 5 more followers, and I raffle off a card.
Did you say we're going 15 across for this moves? Voxels?
Well, you can go as many, like they just changed it, so I haven't actually went and seen how many and tested positions. how refined it went. It used to go only, I could get 10 with reputting in the ends when it was disappearing, but now it goes a lot further than that because they don't allow it to disappear now on the rough smooth.
How many do I got? I want to make it 36. Cause I'm stubborn, cause I'm stubborn. Cause I'm so stubborn.
Okay, that is deers.
I'm stubborn. And I'm kind of lazy.
What did you use to make the blackboard?
Dirt.
The,
Tundra dirt.
you can,
Tundra dirt.
yeah, I used iron, which was above my head on the top of the curve. I just picked stuff in the distance out of convenience.
I'll click it.
See, I don't even
That's
know how
funny.
to do that.
It's
Just
alt
hold
click.
up and you can target something, click it, and it will load your material.
Alt click.
Yeah, alt. Yeah, alt is your eyedropper. It swaps your tool over to an eyedropper.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. If you use any kind of a paint program or Photoshop, then all of those commands will work in the game. So like Control Z or Control X, C, V, all those things. I guess
That was a
I guess
nice
that'd be
thing
fun
how
with
they
word
did Landmark.
processor too.
Who's saying what?
But basically,
I
the
see you.
materials used, it's something personal. I like to use stucco and obsidian for my boards, and it's a bit expensive, but I think it looks good. And most
Yeah.
people use stones. It's a personal thing. If I copy a board, I will always change it to stucco and obsidian. It's just my thing, but you can use what you like, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, since they added the cloth and the stucco colors to the dirt, I've been using the blue cloth, the blue against the white.
Oh,
Looks really good on the contrast.
yeah.
Another thing to remember is that we do have a wipe eventually when we go into open beta. So if you want to be able to use the boards you're making as soon as possible, making them all out of dirt in different colors might be the best option, and then you can get fancy once you get your resources back.
That's a good
Makes
point. I never thought of
sense.
that, man. Very good point.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think I will go change mine actually, and at least in the templates now.
Yeah, mine's out of stucco and worked slate, so that should be pretty good.
Yeah. But dirt is very
Hey,
fast.
Penis, thank you for the follow.
You basically want to get your workstation
That
up
rocks.
fast if you.
10?
And also, if you're another tip for templating is if you got a symmetrical design, you only have to template a quarter of it, because if you can bring it out and then just place it back in the 4 quarters of the pie to bring it back into its shape, then only template a quarter of your design.
Yeah, it saves you like circles and stuff like that.
Exactly, quarters.
Yeah, dealing with really large circles and other shapes, that saves a massive amount of voxel space in your
Oh,
storage.
I was.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, Split. Thanks for the raid. Do you like the blue? What do you think? Loot? Oops, I lost count.
So now we got our. I think everyone's caught up. And they got their starting 5 positions or 4 positions plus the default, plus whatever extra they want.
I'm not doing good on this one.
Anyone need
I'm
to
gonna delete it.
wait for a minute, or can we go to the next step? Okay, that sounds like we can move on. Okay, so now that we have this board, now we can make the next set of shapes that are possible. So by looking at this, we'll use these to manipulate the default voxel. first we used the smooth tool, now we'll use what we built out of the smooth tool to continue down the path of creating shapes. So we're going to copy out the default voxel. And then we're going to take the next one that we made, the one that we smoothed once. We're going to copy that.
That's this one.
Before I do that, I'm just going to recolor the center one so you can see.
Okay, I did not see this one.
Okay, so what I've done so far is just placed a default voxel in the air. And I've taken and copied and loaded the very first voxel I made with smoothing. So the only smooth ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and position it and paste it into each of the kitty corner positions to the voxel. What I'm doing here is, in the game we have directional control, meaning the voxel we put down always will control the voxels that already exist in the area. And so what we're doing is changing the one location of the corner, and the voxel that was already there, of course, has to listen because it shares these 8 locations with now these 8 voxels I'm placing.
Silly question, but how do we copy the next size voxel?
Go onto your board and put your selection box over top of the next one to the right, the one that you smoothed down, and go and Control C it, which is copy.
Control C? Okay.
And then go and start putting it into the kitty corner positions. So it'll be diagonal from center. And what you're doing is you're taking this one measure and position and going and reshaping the default voxel to its position. So they're complementary. They both share that location.
I'm glad I already made my homework for the micro smooth.
Yeah, yeah, because it becomes a lot of work to do all the steps that we're going to be followed into, because you can go and spend hours upon hours just redoing the method to produce another shape.
Is this in the right spot to place? I can't tell.
Place
And
it
how
and
do
let
you
me see.
paste?
Control V, or yeah.
It's not pasting.
You have to click. Control V and then click.
You'll get a yellow
okay.
thing first. Yeah, you're in the right
Hey
position.
there.
And see, if you look at what you've done there, if you look really close and zoom into your corners, you'll see that the corners of the voxel that was there, the default voxel, and now the corner of the small smooth voxel that you're placing, those corners are attached. They both share the corner, and they cannot be disconnected or separated in any way. And this is exposing the grid. This is showing you that what you do in one voxel space will affect all the voxels that share corners with it. And what's important to see here too is that these locations are very important for having the maximum amount of control over the center voxel, because what we're doing is taking and only controlling one corner at a time.